Dustin Poirier says he'd return to combat sports only for a boxing match with Nate Diaz. On X, he wrote, "Zuffa boxing, 12 rounds, me and Nathaniel. I'd do it. Only one more fight I'd take." This user replied saying, "Here we go." Dustin said, "We're not even going anywhere, but someone asked me. I'm retired. I'm done. But Nate is one that got away." Dustin also recently gave his prediction for Alex Pereira versus Magomed Ankalaev. He thinks Alex is going to finish Ank this time. Dustin said, "I just think he's danced with this guy before. He wants that title back, and he wants to win. He wants revenge, and he wants to show that wasn't him in the last fight. There's a lot of reasons why, and he's too dangerous of a fighter to go in there and not find that shot this fight. I think it's going to be a KO or TKO." Then Askren went on the Ariel Helwani show yesterday and gave an update on his recovery after a double lung transplant. He said eventually he can be really healthy again, but the change has been big. Before the surgery, he didn't take any medication, and now he's taking 40 pills a day. Ben noted that the number of pills will go down over time, but it will never be zero again.
Close to 100% are they saying you can get to your
I mean, they said, like, they were giving me an example of some guy who ran marathons and he was able to run a marathon. I think it was only like a year and a half after his surgery. So like they say, and there's a guy that was like, they gave me all these guys to talk to if I wanted to. One guy was like a mountaineer, so he does that. But so I think physically I can be really healthy again, but it's just like, now there'll be like effing stack of pills I got every morning. Like before this, I was on no medication, none, right? And now it's like, I don't know, I probably gotta take 40 pills a day.
Wow.
And that's gonna go down, but it's never, ever gonna go to zero.
Artem Lobov versus Zubaira Tukhogov is off. The PFL made the announcement on X. Says Artem Lobov versus Zubaira Tukhogov is off Friday's PFL Road to Dubai Champion Series card. Lobov sustained an injury during training and will not be able to fight. Artem released a statement to his Instagram and reveals he suffered a cut above his eye in sparring after an accidental clash of heads.
Hello everyone. So what happened last night, I went training, trying to get accustomed to the fight time, so I went pretty late. This week I've been feeling excellent. There's no weight cut for me, so normally I'd be pretty drained, whereas this time, I was full of power, full of strength, and my coaches cleared me to train all this week, up until Wednesday. And I wanted to, obviously push hard. It's an important fight for me. We went training last night. I knew the fight was going to be a lot of grappling, a lot of takedown defense. So, we decided to grapple, tried to be, safe, didn't start standing up, went from the floor to, try and avoid injury. And got into it, I wanted to give it a hard push, I was pushing hard, and it was going really good. And we just had an accidental head clash. As soon as that happened, I could see blood everywhere, quickly covered it with the towel, ran upstairs, trying to not let anybody see me, As soon as got to the room, contacted PFL, they got the doctor. But as soon as the doctor, came in, he saw the cut. He said, "There's no way you can be fighting with that." The cut was very deep, very bad. There was, as he called it, there was a flap there. It wasn't just a straight line. It's probably due to the fact that I have a lot of scar tissue on my face from my time at the bare knuckle and just all the fights I've had over the years. For me personally, I've never ever pulled out of the fight. I fought with any kind of injury possible, ligaments, broken hands, fever, antibiotics, you name it. I've always fought, never ever, pulled out of the fight. The doctor said, "No way, we cannot fight, he cannot, clear me to fight." So the fight had to be pulled, I would like to apologize in front of all the fans, for this pullout. In front of PFL, of course, and most importantly, my opponent and his team. Zubaira, I'm really sorry for this. I know how, not nice it is to get fight taken away from you on fight week. I'm really, really sorry. I only hope that we can, reschedule this fight. I know that the world wants to see this fight. It's a must fight. I really want to fight. PFL wants this fight, so I really hope that Zubaira will agree to reschedule this fight and we can do it properly this time. Once again, I'm really, really sorry for this. I know how annoying it is. I hope you can all forgive me, and I hope to make up for it when we do finally meet. I'm going to make it an absolute bloodbath. It's going to be a war, and everyone is going to be very, very happy with this. Once again, so sorry to everybody.
Stephen Thompson wants to rematch Jorge Masvidal at the UFC White House card. The two fought in 2017 and Wonderboy won via unanimous decision. Speaking to Bloody Elbow, Wonderboy said, "I'm getting with my manager this week and we're talking about which card do we want to get on. Do we want to go to Greenville? Does it make more sense to fight on the White House lawn? Because there's going to be so many eyes on that card. It was me versus Jorge Masvidal too. So Masvidal's a big Trump advocate, so I know he had to show some interest in fighting on the card, and I know he wanted to run our fight back after I beat him at Madison Square Garden. So I think it would be a really cool fight card to be on." Sean O'Malley thinks Ilia Topuria is the greatest pound-for-pound fighter of all time, even above John Jones.
Main event, Ilia Topuria just said he's the main event of the White House event next year. Ilia versus Conor, it. You want a big fight? If you want a main event, but they're not American.
Yeah.
But does it matter?
Conor
Conor's
does.
American. It would be. I think Ilia could. You never count Conor out.
Dude, Ilia's a beast.
Ilia is pound for pound the greatest fighter to ever walk this earth. Greatest fighter pound for pound ever.
Even over Jones, dude, huh?
Yeah. Even over Jones, I think. It's just like his last 3 fights. KO's Volkanovski, KO's Max Holloway, KO's Charles Oliveira. He's not beating these guys in a decision. He's not taking them down and holding them down. These guys can't get up. He's knocking them out.
Yeah.
It's
I could take
sweet.
Jiri Prochazka believes he deserves the next light heavyweight title shot if he beats Khalil Rountree this weekend. In an interview with MMA Junkie, Jiri said, "I think he's a dynamic, fast, and tough fighter. He knows how to go long rounds. This is something that I needed, to have more patience in the fight and to not want to end it as soon as possible. I think that's my strongest weapon, and the other side is a little bit bad because I want to end it as soon as possible. So I'm going all the time. Every attack has to go through. That's what I worked on. To work lightly, to be precise, and with that to have deadly attacks. Right now I'm focused on just Khalil, and last one after Jamal Hill. After my fight with Jamal Hill, I spoke already about my title fight, so I think now it's my time to go for the title. But still I'm humble, and I don't want to speak about the next phases. Right now I'm totally focused on Khalil. I don't want to be focused on the future. I'm always excited to show my performance, to show that I made a step up since the last preparation in January. So that's it. I'm just excited to be here and finally go back to the cage." Last week, Dean Thomas suggested the UFC trade Magomed Ankalaev to the PFL for undefeated prospect Dakota Dacheva. Ankalaev fired back at Dean on X and mocked him for his KO loss to BJ Penn back in 2001. Brendan Schaub agrees with Dean and thinks the UFC would be better off with Dakota Dacheva. He adds that Ankalaev is actually hurting the UFC if he beats Alex Pereira again this weekend.
The UFC business model now would make more money off Dakota than it would Magomed, bar none. Matter of fact, Magomed's actually hurting the UFC. It's tough to say, because if he goes out and beats Alex, who's a much bigger star than him, it actually hurts the UFC. Now, if you're a purist, you're like, well, the best of the best fight in the UFC, if he wins, he's the champ. I get that. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about maximizing money, endorsement deals, TV time, a pretty girl who's very talented, who's a 500 fighter we can get more money out of than this guy from Dagestan who's a beast but isn't good on the mic. His talking's a little dicey. You know, it's just... And he's also so good that the stars you want to be the face of the UFC, he beats. That's an issue. So people will say the UFC has a star problem.
Merab Dvalishvili weighs in on Islam Makhachev's chances of beating Jack Della Maddalena and becoming the new UFC welterweight champion. In an interview with Helen Yee, Merab said it's going to be hard for him, but it's possible for Islam to win the second belt. JDM is a great fighter, a great striker, but Islam is tricky. He has good wrestling and he's a southpaw. He doesn't get hit, but he takes people down and he mauls people. Also, we all see the JDM Bilal Muhammad fight, and I'm sure Islam will take lots of lessons from this fight and maybe make adjustments. It's possible. It's going to be hard, but Islam can win the second belt. John Jones has been vocal about how he wants to compete on the UFC White House card, even though Dana White has stated that he doesn't trust John to headline and considers it unlikely to happen. Henry Cejudo says he thinks Dana will eventually cave in and put John on the card. However, he thinks John will now take a major pay cut. He doesn't think John is going to make nearly as much as he would have made if he defended the heavyweight belt against Tom Aspinall this year.
President Dana White's going to cave in, bro. President Dana White's going to cave in, and he's going to give John Jones that opportunity. And the only reason why I say that now is because...
Yes, but now is it for the same amount?
And this is where, yeah, this is where John f***ed up, and I can tell him that, and I'll say it here publicly. This is where he f***ed up. You cannot in business. You just cannot do that, bro. You cannot do that. He's gonna probably get paid half, maybe I would say even 10 million. In comparison to maybe. In consideration, what 30 that they were going to actually give him against Tom. You know what I'm saying?
No one knows if they were actually going to give him that. I don't know if that was
Kush.
confirmed.
I know.
Yeah. Really?
What else you got to know? What else do you want?
Nah, if it came from Triple C, it must be true. If it came from the Triple C, it must be true.
Yeah, I understand Dana White's point too, because John Jones he is a bit of a wild card. Some could happen. Obviously, his legal record too says a lot, dude. You know, and I love John, but yeah, let's speak the facts, dude.
Beneil Dariush versus Benoit Saint Denis has been added to UFC 322. The UFC officially announced the fight today. BSD just competed at UFC Paris, where he submitted Mauricio Ruffi in the second round. Dariush is coming off a unanimous decision win over Renato Moicano at UFC 317. Tom Aspinall gives his predictions for UFC 320. He believes Magomed Ankalaev will defeat Alex Pereira once again.
I'm Tom Aspinall, and these are my UFC 320 predictions.
Abbas Magomedov versus Joe Pyfer.
Joel Pyfer by knockout.
Josh Emmett versus Yusuf Salal.
Josh Emmett by knockout.
Jiri Prochazka versus Khalil Rountree Jr.
Oof, it's a tough one to call. I would say Jiri by decision.
Merab Dvalishvili versus Corey Sandhagen.
Don't want to pick against my guy Corey Sandhagen because I think he's very good, but I think Merab is unstoppable right now.
Magomed Ankalaev versus Alex Pereira.
Tough fight, but I think Ankalaev's going to do it again.
Dricus Du Plessis thinks Alex Pereira will beat Magomed Ankalaev this time and reclaim the light heavyweight title.
I think what's going to happen here is, he's coming to prove a point, and like you say, he's not a young guy anymore. He's nearing the end of his career, so it's going to be exciting to see what he does after this, regardless of the outcome. I honestly feel the way I saw him in training, the stuff that I saw, he looks sharper. It looks, like I said, just more intense. But the striking was never the problem. He's going to need to keep it back off the fence, and I do believe that they've spent enough time on working on that. And him taking some time away from the sport was good for him. Sometimes you need to do that to, get that reset and get that hunger back. Yeah, the thing with Pereira is he's a bully fighter in the sense where he walks you down, is intimidating because he hits so hard, he doesn't care if he walks into the fire. Ankalaev was smart in the first fight to stay away and then get all the way in to smother him and get his back, put him on the back foot. You don't, when Pereira's on the back foot, he's not the best. That's not his style. But now they know Ankalaev's going to close that gap. I know Ankalaev says he's going to strike with him. I don't think that's a great idea. I really don't think that's a good idea. Yeah, I do. I really don't see this fight going the distance this time. But I'm putting my money on Pereira to claim the title. I have to go with him.
And that's going to wrap it up for the news. Thanks for watching. For daily MMA news and content, subscribe to Full Mount MMA and click the bell icon to be notified when we post videos. Here are the 3 top comments from last video. The first one's from Dong Fang. It says Vanderlei should have taken Chael's advice. The second one says Vanderlei's voice sounds like those distorted witness protection crime shows when they hide the identity of the snitch. And the final one's from Joey. It's in reference to Merab telling Corey Sandhagen that he's not a fan of his jokes anymore. It says it's a part of Merab's process to get mad at his opponents. Those were the 3 top comments from last video. If you want to be featured in the next one, all you have to do is comment down below. And if you missed yesterday's news, click the video on screen right now to get caught up.